Well, hello and welcome to another ClueCon Weekly. My name is David Duffett and I'm very, very pleased to be recording this ClueCon Weekly in the ClueCon Weekly studio with Mr. Fred Posner. How are you doing, Fred?
I'm doing great, David. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. Very pleased to have you along. I always enjoy ClueCon Weekly recording, but it's even more enjoyable when done with old friends. And you and I, Fred, we do go back a few years, don't we?
We do, and it's always both a pleasure to talk to you, and then it's always hard for me to go, okay, well, this is not a personal conversation. So I love having these podcasts with friends because I'm so at ease, but I'm also scared because I'm so at ease.
Feel at ease, Fred. That's what we're about here on ClueCon Weekly. We are at ease. What we like to do is talk to interesting people about interesting things, and today is no exception to that. I know we're going to get some interesting information from you as we go forward. Before we carry on too far, I do want to mention ClueCon itself. So this is a ClueCon Weekly podcast, but ClueCon, the live event, the exciting live event, is going to be on in Chicago in August. It's the 3rd through to the 6th. And Fred, how many ClueCons have you been to?
At least 5. 5 or 7.
Yeah, a pretty good number. I think I've been to 5 or 6, and I think pretty much you've been at most ClueCons I've been to. So, yeah, that's good. Always an exciting event, and I've always enjoyed going to Asterisk. Even before I was the worldwide community advocate at SignalWire, I used to enjoy going to ClueCon when I was the worldwide community director at Digium for Asterisk. ClueCon somehow manages a really nice family feel to it. Even though there's hundreds of people there getting involved, there is just a very, very nice community and family feel. Anyway, that's 3rd to the 6th of August in Chicago. If you want more information about that, jump on to ClueCon.com. And last time I was there, I noticed there's still an amazing discount to be had. So it's probably time to get there and get your pass right now. And as Fred and I both know, the earlier you register for ClueCon, the more tickets you get to the draws. And there's some very exciting prizes in those draws. Yes, there are some less exciting prizes as well, but there's some very exciting ones. In fact, Fred, I seem to remember, did you win a Let the Geek Speak jacket or something like that at a ClueCon?
I did. Being in Florida right now, I don't have it to show, but I did win a lovely jacket that I've gotten to use 2 or 3 times this year. And ClueCon's a great time. I enjoy going every year. It's a lot of fun. It's good people. You learn a lot. Good time.
Yeah, excellent. And I'm sporting my SignalWire jacket for this very podcast, by the way, which I'm very pleased with. And over here in the UK, it's just a little bit chillier, so I'm very grateful for it. Anyway, Fred, I know that we're going to talk about a new project that you started not that long ago. But before we do that, I think you are possibly the only person I know who's both into VoIP and baking. So before we get to the VoIP part, tell us a little bit more about the baking part, please.
Sure. Back in 2010, my wife and I decided to start a bakery. She's an amazing artist with anything baked, and so she can do all those types of cakes that you would see on TV, and those are big at the time. And back in 2010, if you could remember, it was mostly like financial difficulty time. So the work that I was having was a lot of debt collectors and facilities like that, and I didn't really enjoy the work anymore, and I needed a break. And we felt a bakery was a great thing for both of us. We started Bakery, which is online at bearbakeshop.com. And, we've moved from the custom cakes to mostly things that we can ship. And at like ClueCon, you've probably seen, I usually do a ClueCon cookie, and at Kamailio World, we do Kamailio cookies and things like that. So,
Always very
it doesn't help me with my weight, but it's a nice outlet.
It helps me with nice things to eat, and everybody else. There's always a bit of excitement when you show up with the bakery box under your arm.
It is, and Jenny, make sure that it doesn't end up with me, and life is good.
And you're saying you've moved a bit more towards kind of the mail order side of things more recently.
Especially now that we have a child, using the time and just the market of Gainesville and life changes, and we've moved more towards just business items that are really good for let's say businesses to use as client gifts and things like that, as well as just items that you could send to loved ones and clients, loved ones, friends.
Yeah,
you can send to people you don't like.
Very
maybe
much
it
so.
will change the way you feel about
One of the things I really like is not only how tasty the bakery products are, but the sweet little stickers that come on them that advise you to be kind and stuff like that. It's very nice.
Thank you. I tried to do that in SIP options as well, but 200, stay alive, be kind.
My favourite from the bakery, and I know that I'm not alone in this, but my favourite are the Keyline Millionaire Perfection bars, which are very, very difficult. Once you start on one of those bad boys, it's very difficult to stop. They're very, very tasty indeed.
It's my favorite thing that we made. We were inspired by a trip to Kamailio World, where we had the Millionaire bars are really big out in Europe, and they weren't as big here back then. And Jenny's take on it, and then we wanted to add a little Florida touch to it, is just my absolute favorite product that we make.
It's a very, very nice thing. And just before we leave the subject of bakery products longingly, just tell us where we can go and find them again, the website address, please.
Oh, thank you again. It's a Bear Bake Shop, so it's bear like the animal, BEAR, bake, BAKE, shop, SHOP.com.
Okay, no dots and dashes or anything like that. Just bearbakeshop.com.
.com.
Great stuff. Okay, yes. So I thought it was important that we talk about that, because it's not every person that I talk to who's got kind of a second life away from the world of VoIP. Some people that I talk to don't have any life at all, Fred. But that's not here on CCW, of course. That's elsewhere. Anyway, let's move along. You've been involved in VoIP in various different ways for quite a long time, but perhaps best known for your participation in the Kamailio project, and therefore your related participation in events like ClueCon, Asterisk, Kamailio World, and things like that. However, more recently, I believe you started a new project. Can you give us a little background about it before you actually get onto what it does? Can you tell us what led you up to creating this new project?
Sure. For well over 10 years, I've been trying to evangelize Kamailio and the features that it has, especially in terms of helping your systems, whether it be FreeSWITCH or Asterisk or whatever PBX you have, with security, and especially as a SIP edge router and aspects in those minds. And that's because anyone that puts a PBX, and this is ClueCon, so let's show FreeSWITCH. You put FreeSWITCH on the net, and the first thing you're going to see is attacks. Generally, within an hour, you're going to start seeing, wow, people have discovered me, and they are trying to register, or they're trying to make calls on my system. It's exciting to let you know that the system is up and alive. And in fact, we jokingly say, well, that's how we know that ports are open. But at the same point, denial of service attacks and fraud is a huge problem. And so, yes, putting up something like putting up something like Kamailio, or only opening towards certain ports, is one way to protect yourself. But anyone that, and especially now, if we look at, and my timingly appropriate cough, if we look at what's going on with people working from home today because of virus outbreaks, there are times where you're just going to have to let in more IPs to your system than you had imagined, for mobile warriors, for work at home, for anything that you imagined. And so how do you open this up without opening yourself up to attack? And there's many different ways of doing this. And for a long time, we've thrown at the idea during these conferences of, let's work together and make a honeypot and share some of these IPs that are constantly attacking us, so that if I'm getting attacked, I can prevent maybe you from getting attacked. Or at the first notice when somebody's pinging me, if I can then already have you block that, maybe it will let you keep yourself hidden longer, or whatever. You're just avoiding any waste of process, any waste of energy in dealing with unwanted SIP traffic.
Yeah, what you're talking about is just an amazing example of community. You know, if I'm suffering, I want to help somebody else avoid suffering. It's a lovely concept.
On that note, I'll digress again. I mean, not a bakery level digression, but we have, the open source VoIP community is a great community. One of the reasons why I look forward to going to ClueCon, yes, is because I enjoy seeing friends, and I enjoy seeing the people there that maybe I only get to see once a year or once every few years. Not to take away from you learn something at these events. I mean, you walk away with better knowledge at these events. That's a major reason to go. But this open source VoIP community is a great community. Now, I'm not saying that, it's cult-like or anything to that nature, but, when we get hit by hurricanes in Florida, I have more people from the open source VoIP community come and check on me than my own family. And the amount of helpfulness when you need something answered, or you're having a trouble, and the community help that you receive from this community changes you. It really inspires you that, yes, especially when we're talking about a product that is designed to help prevent you from the bad things that are going on in the internet, it's nice to be reminded that there's such good people out there in this community. And especially FreeSWITCH users, Kamailio users, even open SIPs, Asterisk, whatever. Just great people.
Well said, Fred. Well said indeed. Okay, yeah. So you came up with this idea because you could see that there was a kind of a need to glue all the goodwill together somehow, in terms of sharing the love. Well, not sharing the love, but sharing the information about when the bad guys were up to something. So do carry on with your story.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't even know if it was my idea. I mean, I think there was a lot of people with a similar idea. We're all interested in sharing this. It's a common discussion that we have is, hey, we're all getting attacked. Wouldn't it be great if we could start sharing this information, especially when, modules like back in 2010, Kamailio had a module called DMQ, Distributed Messaging Queue, which allows Kamailio to very easily sync with itself wherever it is. So, you could have Kamailio nodes throughout the world, and you can sync information very quickly. And so this started becoming more of a discussion as, okay, well now, very simply, when I get attacked in one of my Kamailios, I block it in all of my Kamailios. So this type of honeypot sharing of information became even more of a desire. And then, well, the bottom line is, all of us are busy, and, we never got around to doing something like this. I had unexpected couple of weeks and talked it over with the people I work with at LOD. And we said, you know what, we can put a little bit of resource towards this. And I wanted to play with Go. So we built an API-based way of tracking it through the honeypots that we have around the globe. And It lets
what did you decide
lets all of this information.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry, we got a little bit of a delay and I interrupted you there. It's the kind of person I am. But I was going to ask, what did you decide to call this project, Fred?
We called it API ban because it uses an API to figure out what is banned. Probably could have come up with a better name, but apiban.org was available. And so, boom, apiban.org. And lo and behold, there it is.
Yeah, kind of, it does what it says on the tin. It's a descriptive name. And how can people watching ClueCon Weekly benefit from using API ban? What are the mechanics they would need to go through?
So this is a free service that we're providing. We're saying that it's still in beta because we'd like to see heavier use before we say yes, it's production solid. But I mean, there's hundreds of people connecting to it every minute with the information. The way that you could go right now is if you went to apiban.org, you could request an invite. We need your email, and we use that to send you an API key. Right. And then there are examples on our site. There's a documentation. So if you wanted to work with, for example, if you were working with Kamailio, there's an integration guide to work with Kamailio and HTable and have it, the second Kamailio starts to populate with all of the current banned IPs, and you're off and running where traffic there is automatically just ignored. On people that are not running something like Kamailio, that are running, let's say, Asterisk or FreeSWITCH, Fusion, if you're running, FreePBX, this works. So any of the GUI-based open source systems, it can even work on NetSapiens. We have written a client in Go because, again, like I said, I was trying to play with Go and learn Go. So there's a client in Go that you can download on any Linux-based system or build it yourself. You could download the compiled version on any Linux-based system. If you wanted to run it, let's say on a Mac OS or something else, you could just, it's open source, so it's right there. You could just compile it yourself. And then that works with IP tables. So that's how it works with FreeSWITCH, and much like you would with something like fail to ban, but more aggressive. So it does. It just blocks it with your IP tables, and boom, there you go. All traffic is done. It cron it. We recommend 4 minutes. Every 4 minutes, you're getting updates of just the IPs that are updated. And the way it works is we're trying to do everything open source as possible. So all the clients are open source, all the integrations are open source. Right now, the back end is not open source only because of me. I'm not comfortable that it wouldn't be exploited in terms of open source community is fantastic. VoIP community that's not open source isn't, and has a history of here, let me send bad traffic so I could block a competitor's IP, things like that. And this way we know that none of that's going on. So until I can figure out a good way of keeping it clean, then that part is still kind of closed source. The honeypots we have are throughout the world, and we have various friends that have honeypots that are also helping us, that we have with specified trust levels. And how it works is that every IP that is received as bad traffic is kept banned for 7 days, and then it just cycles through. So you could reset every now and then, and it will just download as many as there are. There's generally around 250 to 260 IPs that are blocked at any given time.
I was going to ask about that, Fred. You said that you recommend people refresh every 4 minutes. So since the start of the exercise, when you first put things up, that 200 and something number that you mentioned, has that been pretty much constant, or did you start off with a low number that then worked its way up? Or how did that work?
So I've been playing with this for a while. The number had been around 100 or so. And then starting in around January, we got up to the point of around 250 and stayed there. We've hit the max that has been around 260. You don't have to, flush anything out. I just like to every now and then.
Right.
However, if you haven't, then you're probably blocking almost, 400 or 500 unique IP addresses if you've been blocking since we went public in January. Because again, the shelf life of an IP address is 7 days. Now, after 7 days, it can be reactivated by a honeypot if it sends it traffic again, which has happened.
Right.
And the way that it works for efficiency, so that you're not downloading 260 IPs every time, every 4 minutes, is we use a control set. And so when the client goes, or with the integrations that we've provided, it uses a control set to offset itself, so it only tracks what has changed since the last time it went.
Yeah, like a diff.
Now we do have the full API documentation there, so you don't have to use our clients. You could integrate yourself if you wanted to check, for example, just individual IPs. You can do that, or you could just use the API in your own client. I know Ratio has integrated a client in of itself into the system. Dave Horton did that, so that's pretty phenomenal. And so, any other projects that want to use it, I would love to see it in Fusion or FreePBX. And on FreeSWITCH, I can't see it being a module. I mean, it's just so simple to just use the client and let FreeSWITCH do its stuff, and it's so low overhead using that Go client that I couldn't imagine any benefit from running it within, like the dial plan or a Lewis script. But it's available to do it as you wish.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you for telling us a bit more about API Ban, Fred. What is the website for it?
API Ban. So A as in alpha, P as in Papa, I as in India, ban, BAN .org. APIban.org.
APIban.org. And what sort of reaction have you had to it so far from the people that have been involved in terms of trying it and seeing how it goes?
Well, if it had been all positive, it wouldn't have been an open source project. But by the vast majority of feedback that I've received has been very, very positive. People are excited, especially for, I didn't expect as many NetSapiens type of systems to use it, but the security on those is so hard that I should have expected it. But a lot of people are really positive with it. There's some discussion as to, by default, the client does a -J reject. There's some discussion of people that would rather handle it differently. And again, that's however you would like. It's your choice. We do it this way because for the years that I've been running systems, this has been the best way that I've seen of doing it for longevity of resources. But, again, that's the beauty of open source. You can change what you don't like.
Yeah, indeed. Is there anything else you'd like to say about API Ban? Because I was going to swing the subject back round to ClueCon, because something you said reminded me of that. But is there any other things that you think people should know about API Ban at the moment?
Just if you, again, there's, instead of just the clients that I provide, the bash client and a Go client, there's also, the API, which is why it was called API Ban. so that you can integrate it however you wanted. So if you wanted to check individual IPs that you don't know or things like that, you can absolutely just do it your own way. The Kamailio integration that we have doesn't use IP tables at all. It uses Kamailio's ability to drop traffic. So that's my preferred way of deploying it, but you can use it however you'd like.
Okay, great. That's really useful for you to come and tell us about that, Fred. What you reminded me of is when you said about Fusion PBX, it reminded me at that recent ClueCon, it was either last year or the year before, when Mark Crane from Fusion PBX did a dangerous demo that involved running Fusion on a Raspberry Pi Zero, which was strapped to a battery pack, but then rolled up in lots and lots of bubble wrap, such that it could be kicked and thrown around the room. And that was a bit of a momentous moment, a very simple demo, but very effective.
It is my favorite dangerous demo that I've ever witnessed. I have never laughed that hard during a dangerous demo. I thought it was phenomenal. And we've seen some epic dangerous demos over the years. If I'm not wrong, I think that the beach ball was also someone tried to set it on fire, if I'm not wrong. It was phenomenal. It was, and not only did we have a lot of fun kicking it and punching it and someone trying to set it on fire, but it worked. He was able to add users while he was going on. So it was phenomenal. And then we had the dangerous demo though, the API ban, just so it's simple to deploy. In dangerous demo, it lasts 3 minutes, and at the recent one that David here hosted in Fort Lauderdale, I was able to download and install and get running API ban in less than 3 minutes.
That was a good dangerous demo, and that was at Open Source World, which will be back in Florida next year. Not in Fort Lauderdale, it's going to be in the Miami Beach Convention Center. But just before we finish, I'll just remind everybody of ClueCon over in Chicago, August the 3rd through to the 6th. And lots and lots of fun. I'm pretty sure you're going to be there, Fred. Is that right?
I will be there. Yep, I'm planning on being there, so I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. I'm planning on being there as well. Don't like to miss a ClueCon these days. But for now, Fred, I just want to say thank you very, very much for taking the time to come and share about API ban, and just in general, a big thank you from the community for what you're doing. It's work that's worth doing, and it's something that's proving useful for people all over the VoIP community.
Thank you so much. And if anyone has any questions, there's contact info on that website, as well as a matrix room. So let us know. We'll be more than happy to help.
Great stuff. For now, thank you very, very much, Fred. Looking forward to seeing you at the next event we both attend, which I believe is going to be Kamailio World in late April.
See you in Berlin.